What's going on, guys? So in this video we're going to be discussing 5 very particular clone fragrances, or dupes as they're known. There's many ways and people speak of them, whether they're inspired by clones, dupes, copies, however you want to say it. In my opinion and in my experience with these particular 5, they nailed it. They're fantastic, whether it's something I really love or in one instance that my wife really loves the smell of, and I enjoy too, don't get me wrong. I think they pretty much nailed it when it came to nailing the scent profile down and making a much more affordable option to a much more expensive fragrance. So I want to talk to you about these 5. We'll try to get through them as quickly as we can, so stay tuned. Starting with the repackaged, it's now called Amber Oud Ruby Edition. I have Amber Oud Rouge from Haramain. This absolutely nails Baccarat Rouge 540 X-Straight. I love it. Baccarat Rouge 540 X-Straight is the one I prefer of the 2 concentrations of Baccarat Rouge 540. I love the EDP too. I just like the X-Straight a little bit more. It's a little bit sweeter. This is that, and it nailed it. The performance is fantastic. It lingers. It's got a pretty stout sillage. This is one of my absolute favorite clone fragrances out there, and it's rare that a clone will keep me from getting a bottle of the original, and this is just so damn good, it's keeping me from spending the money on the original, because the original is very expensive for 70 ml. I'm on my second decan. I actually have the fragrance wardrobe for him Discovery set from Mason Francis Kirkjohn with Baccarat, both versions of Baccarat Rouge 540 in it currently. So I have several sprays of the original, but I just keep reaching for this one when I get in the mood for the scent profile. I've got many fragrances that smell like Baccarat Rouge 540, both concentrations, but none nail it down as closely as this does. Obviously, the quality is not exactly on par, but as far as the accuracy of the scent profile, especially out in the air, Haramain did a fantastic job with this one. I'm not sure how good or how close or if it's the same with Ruby Edition, but that's what's available on the market. Obviously, if you can find Rouge somewhere online for really cheap, I can vouch for this one because it's the one I have. As far as Ruby, that's the one that replaced it. You'd have to look into that, but they definitely nailed it here. Haramain, Amber Oud Rouge. Speaking of the one my wife absolutely loves, I think it's a great fragrance too. It's one of those situations where Armaf ended up being my favorite version as far as clones of this scent profile, and we're talking about Club de Nuit Sillage. Definitely on the more synthetic side. Performance is fantastic, and it smells great out in the air. It's very metallic and sharp. Beautiful. It's got that little touch of florals. It's got that watery feel. It's got the inkiness of the black currant with that herbal tea note. It's pretty much nailed down, for the most part, nailed down the aroma. Obviously much more chemically synthetic than Creed's Silver Mountain Water. It's night and day different in quality, obviously, but performance is fantastic on this one for me. The sillage is kind of monstrous on this one. It's not overwhelmingly long and strong trail, but the projection's really heavy at first, and then the sillage that's left behind after the fact is moderate. It's on the slightly stronger side. It's got some punch to it, I guess you could say. And like I said, for the most part, they have nailed down the scent profile. I think they did a great job with this one. I actually think this is, if you're looking for a more accurate clone to one of the Creeds from them, I think you're better off getting this, if you like Silver Mountain Water, than getting, say, Club de Nuit Intense Man if you like Aventus. Honestly, they're both harsh and synthetic in some ways. This isn't that much on the harsh side, but Club de Nuit Intense Man definitely is. It's harsh in the top. It has that lemon note that I do enjoy, don't get me wrong, but it's not as accurate to what it's cloning, whereas this, pretty damn accurate to Silver Mountain Water. Like I said, not exact one-to-one because they're not going to match the same quality. They're not using the same oils, but the overall scent in the air, pretty much the same. Like I said, my wife loves it. She loves when I wear this one. She can't stop sniffing me when I wear it. Grab a sample, or, I mean, in the event you want to grab a bottle, they're in the mid $30 range. They are not expensive. It is a great, affordable way to smell like the scent profile. In my opinion, it's definitely my favorite clone of the Silver Mountain Water DNA. So Armaf Club de Nuit Sillage. So there's a few smaller clone houses that pretty much nailed this as well. It's not just this particular clone house, but push come to shove, I think this is the most accurate you're going to get as far as Sauvage Elixir clones, at least of what I've tried. And we're talking about Alexandria Fragrances at Sauvage Elixir. They nailed this stuff. I've said before, I'll say again, as far as scent profile from start to finish and performance accuracy to the original from start to finish, it's about 90% or better accurate across the board in every category. They really did a great job with this one. Any fans of Dior Sauvage Elixir that you can't seem to find it cheaper than retail because it's, $160 range for a 60 ml. This 100 ml is $100 before any discount codes, and you can find anywhere from 15, 20 to 25% off codes depending on what time of the week or holidays and such from Alexandria. And then the 60 mls are even cheaper, and the codes work for that as well. So you can really get a bargain, and the quality is pretty much on par with what you're going to get with Sauvage Elixir from Dior. I don't really smell too much of a quality difference here. The oils kind of seem wet and wet, and like I said, the scent profile and the performance, pretty accurate across the board, from the top note, the heart and early dry down, the deep dry down, to the projection early on, to the pretty much monstrous sillage that's going to follow for the remaining life of the fragrance. So they definitely did their thing here. Had to include this one. We're talking about Sauvage Elixir from Alexandria Fragrances. Next is from a lesser-known clone house that I've checked several of their offerings at this point, and this is the one I tend to reach for the most, just to do random sprays on my arms and just kind of enjoy. I run errands with it. I've put a decent little dent in this 15 ml. This is from USA Inspired Fragrances. This is their version of Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. Like I said, you can see I've been knocking some sprays down from this one. I love how it smells. They nailed the scent profile. It's got that beautiful aquatic touch, that freshness with that just gorgeous creaminess. That beautiful, creamy, woody smell that this fragrance is known for. It is absolutely lovely. It's a little touch powdery. They nailed it here. The performance is fantastic as well. This is an X-straight. I don't remember the concentration. 15 ml is plenty for me. Obviously, it'll take me a very long time to run through it, but this is slowing me down from getting a bottle. I have smelled Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme and Allure Homme Sport many, many times. Pretty much every time I go to an airport and they have a duty-free or a fragrance store, I go in there and I spray it on my arm and kind of enjoy it on my flight. That's kind of become routine when I fly because they always have a tester of one of the two. And eventually I'll get a bottle of Eau Extreme. Don't get me wrong. It's as mass appealing, compliment getting, versatile as they come, especially from a brand like Chanel. But USA Inspired, I'm telling you, if you're looking for a great representation of that scent profile, they nailed it. It's pretty accurate. Another one I would call 90% or better accurate from start to finish, including performance. They really did a good job with this one. So my favorite from them for sure. USA Inspired, Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. So I don't know how many companies, big or small, cloned this fragrance. We're talking about Roger Parfums Oceania, one of my personal favorites from the house that I wear often. Haven't wore a lot this year, but last year I wore it a lot. I put a decent dent in the bottle last year. And Making Sense from Michael Dinsmore, he nailed it here. You can see the juice level starting to drop. This is called Triton. The only difference I find here is you lose some of the airiness of the original because that's an eau de parfum, whereas this is a high oil concentration, extrait. So the scent profile itself seems to have been nailed down. Michael Dinsmore did his thing with this one, but you do lose some of the airiness because it's much more oil. It wears a lot heavier, but it still smells phenomenal. There it is, beautiful orange, lemon, a bunch of citrus. There's violet, there's iris. It's nice and soapy, powdery, but still has a nice aquatic tone without any aquatic notes, just like Oceania. It's really good stuff. This is my favorite from Making Sense. hands down. I have several of his offerings right here within arm's reach. I pull the cap off and smell these 17 mLs. I have a collection of 17 mLs from him. These go for about 20 bucks, and you can't go wrong here. You don't need a lot of sprays. The other like runner-up for Sauvage Elixir is their version called 4.0 Elixir, but this is my favorite for sure. It's the one I spray the most. It's the one I sniff on the most because it's replicating one of my favorite fragrances in my collection. And he nailed it. He really did. Like I said, you lose some airiness at the top, but the scent is almost one-to-one, and the performance is bananas. Again, that's Making Sense Triton, their version of Rouge Parfums Oceania. So that's my 5 favorite clones currently. In my collection, I have several newer Creed Aventus clones, Oud for Greatness, and so on. I've got a bunch of really good stuff recently, but these are the 5 that I keep wanting to sniff on that just kind of have captivated me overall, and I really think they nailed it here. They did a great job, and I wanted to talk to you guys about them. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. Have you tried any of these 5? What do you think about them? You're not necessarily going to feel exactly the way I do, but in some instances you may feel exactly the way I do. It's very subjective and everybody's experience is different. But until next time, I will say if you get your hands on any of these 5 and you give them a spray now, I'm pretty confident you'll thank me later. So I think they're pretty damn good. Have a good one, guys.